can pick me up, and you have no idea who you're really looking at. You don't know what I've done. If God can change me, he changed anybody in this room. God is good, man. Give God a chance. I appreciate it. Failure is a part of the process. You have to fail to win. You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is a part of the process. People who never fail, never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right. You learn nothing from winning. You only learn from your failures. Warren Buffett said he won't even invest in a person's business unless they failed in 2 other businesses. Because now you know what not to do. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, man. I've overcome so many failures. I've failed more times than I've succeeded. That's, I tell you the truth, man. It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan took 949 game-winning shots. He only made 123. He's the greatest basketball player to ever live. He only made 123 game-winning shots. He took 949 of them. All you got to do is win some of the time. A professional baseball player, out of every 10 at bat, if he hits the ball 3 times out of 10, he makes millions of dollars. You understand? If a basketball player makes 50% of his shots, he makes millions of dollars. All he got to do is hit half of them. Not at the free throw, but in the game. That's what you got to learn. Probably the other thing for me is when I stopped living my life in probabilities and started living only in possibility. Probability is when somebody gives you a statistic. Like they told me, 1 in every 20,000 comedians will get on the Tonight Show. That was the odds. And I went, cool. And the dude went, what do you mean cool? I said, I'm going to get on the Tonight Show. He said, no, you didn't listen to me. He said, 1 in every 20,000 ever make it to the Tonight Show. Excuse me. You did say 1, didn't you? That's the possibility of winning. That's the attitude you have to have about it. All you want to do is live in the possibility and ignore the probability. Probability simply means to me, probably ain't going to happen. That's what that means to me. Possibility is it can happen. You just got to have that, man. Everybody in this room wants 2 things. Everybody wants to be successful and everybody wants to be happy. I'm going to tell you something about that. That happiness and success is available for every last one of you. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to do. You're going to change your mindset. If you're planning on being successful, you have to change this here. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is right here. It ain't no difference. It ain't none. I ain't got no more than none of y'all got. God gave me the same thing he gave y'all. God loved me the same as he loved all y'all. He don't love me more than he loved you. But you have got to change your mindset. You got to get funky if you want to be successful. If you think that they're going to mail this money to your house, you're dead wrong about that. If you think they're going to pave the way for you and make it easy, you're dead wrong about that. If you want to be successful, you got to change your mind, and you're going to have some faith. If you ain't got no faith, if you ain't got no relationship with God, you finna make this thing way harder than it's got to be. And I'm flat out tell you that right now. Look at here. You think you're going to be successful without God? Let me ask you something. How that's working out for you. I am here to tell you that you can come from nothing and become something. But you're going to have God. Now, you can come up with another way, but there ain't a book out there on the market how to make it without God. It's 1,000 books about faith and how to make it with God. You're not going to make it without him. You can short circuit your ticket by just putting some faith in God. The 2 most important days of your life is the day you're born and the day you discover why. All you have to do is uncover this gift that God gave you at birth. the one that he created in every living soul. He never created a person that he didn't give a gift to. All you got to do is uncover that gift that he gave you and start using it. The Bible says your gift will make room for you. Let me tell you something a guy told me one time. He said, Steve, I had a job. He said, if you want to see how your life gonna be, he said, I want you to follow your boss home one day. I didn't think nothing of it. He said, see what he driving, see the house he living in, and see who greet him at the door. So it took me about 6 months, and I was thinking about it. I decided to follow my boss home one day. I really did this. So I got out, and I just sat in the parking lot. He worked late. I just waited. We started driving home. The car he was driving was not the car I dreamed of owning. Then he pulled up in front of the house. And the house he pulled up in front of was not the house that I was dreaming of owning. And then his wife came to the door. And when she came to the door, that damn show wasn't who I was dreaming of opening up the door for me every day. And he told me, he said, you will never make more money than your boss makes. So if that's the car he driving, that's the car you're going to be able to get. If that's the house he live in, that's the house you'll be living in. And if that's who greet him at the door, that's pretty much the chick you're going to get. After I could have dealt with the car. I could have dealt with the house. But when that chick came to that front door and I looked at her, I said, I got to quit this job. Because that just wasn't what I had dreamed of. You have got to make some decisions in your life. But you got to tie it to this gift. Your gift is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your God-given gift. He didn't hide it from you. He didn't put it under the rocks. He didn't hide it in the ocean. You don't need no map to find it. God put it right here when he made you. All y'all are gifted at something. The Bible says your gift will make room for you and put you in the presence of great men. That's a scripture. That ain't a theory of mine. See, I ain't got but one gift. I have the ability to take information and transpose it into comedy immediately. I don't even have to think about it. I don't even have to. It's just what I do. This is a gift that God gives you at birth. This is the one thing. You can go to school. You can take lessons to play a trumpet, drums, piano. You can take acting lessons. You can take pilot lessons. You can go to school, be an architect. You can go to school, be a doctor, lawyer, scientist. You can go to school for dentistry. You can go to school, cut hair. You can go to school, learn how to be a race car driver. There is no school for comedy. You can't take no class and come out and your be funny. That ain't how this. This is the one gift that you purely have to be born with. You can't. You have to be this way at birth. But all of you are gifted, though. That's the thing you should understand. All of you are gifted. God never made a person he didn't give a gift to. All of you. Every person in here is gifted. I'm telling you, you are. Just got to quit looking at gifts as running, jumping, singing, and dancing. Because I'm up here don't mean I'm the gifted person in the room. If you're smart, that's a gift. Smart people are gifted. If you're smart, you get A's, you're gifted. That's your gift. You ain't got to be looking around no more. That's your gift. You're smart. See, I was never that. I didn't get no good grades in school. I got a C one time. My daddy bought me a bike. Boy, the boy gonna around be something. I struggled in school, but I was gifted at something else. You know, if you cut hair, if everybody come to your house instead of going to the salon for you to do their hair, that's because you get. That's what you do. Seriously, that's it. Some people draw, some people paint. Babysitting is a gift. If you're really good at babysitting, babysitting becomes daycare centers. Daycare centers become creme de la cremes. You make millions of dollars doing that. You just have to identify your gift. All of you have one. I ain't the only one. My gift is special. You know, I can walk in front of a room full of people I've never seen before, and I can make all of them laugh. All of them. That's a gift. It's crazy to have when you're young, because I stayed in trouble because I didn't know how to work this. I stayed at the principal's office. I was down at the principal's office just in trouble. I didn't even understand what the was wrong. He just talk all the time, and he just blurt whatever come out. You know how many times my mama took me to church, had me prayed for? You know how many preachers I done had do that to me? Healed, hacked them in the kind of head. I pop right up, same dude. It's just my gift. I didn't have. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do the rich people cringe and say, don't tell them that, Rob?
Yes. Don't tell people what you know. Keep them poor. My father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and said, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, you know? And he got flustered and he said, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why? That's Mike. So why ask him? He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He says, I'm an employee. I'm a government employee. I went, oh, what's the difference? He says, the difference is an entrepreneur must know about money, or then they're no longer entrepreneurs. And he says an employee doesn't have to know anything about money, because the government will take care of them, the company will take care of them. So I'm all confused. But I took my dad's advice and I trundled over to Mike's father's office and knocked on his door and I said, hey, I'm here, 9 years old. Teach me about money. He says, beat it, kid, you know. But that's where the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad started. And finally, through persistence, my rich dad started teaching me about money on one condition. And that condition was he would never pay me. He says, the moment I pay you, you think like an employee. He says, that's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. And now I'm 9 years old, my head's going cracking in half. He says, you never want a paycheck. You understand that, kid? I said, okay, I got it. And he says, well, how do I make money? He says, that's what entrepreneurs figure out. It's like, so how do I learn about money? So he would just break out a Monopoly game board. So I would work for free and pick up cigarette butts and get hotels and restaurants, and I would clean and do menial tasks. And as I got older, I started getting into office work and marketing and accounting, and I was an apprentice basically, but I always worked for free. And he would teach me about money, but the way he taught me about money was playing Monopoly. And I finally one day I got upset. I said, well, when are you going to teach me about money? He says, what do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopoly. He goes, no. What do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopoly. He says, what do you think we're doing? I don't know. I'm teaching you about money. And then that's when, you have one greenhouse. He says, there's many formulas for great success in money. There's thousands of them. But one of the best ones founded on the game of Monopoly. It still is today. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. I said, what? He says, one of the greatest ways to acquire great wealth is playing Monopoly in real life. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. But is that all there is? He goes, that's it. And he says, what do you think I'm doing? And I went, I don't know. So then he took me out and he showed me his greenhouses. And 10 years later, when I was 19, I was now in school in New York, and I come back to Hawaii, and Rich Dad had bought the biggest piece of land smack dab in the middle of Waikiki Beach. And when you go to Waikiki Beach today, you'll see the Hyatt Regency Hotel. That was his hotel.
Just like the game of Monopoly.
Just like the game of Monopoly.
acquired assets and they became bigger assets.
He just kept what's called an assemblage because that property wasn't that big at the time. So he had to buy out all the small guys. Because Waikiki was a little dirtwater little town. So he'd buy out this shop owner, buy that shop owner. And it took him a while, but he finally assembled this large piece of property. And then he and Hyatt put up this giant hotel.
You know,
And it just sold for $800 million. So that's how I learned about money. I've had financial crashes. I've had people stab me in the back, but they're all good because I grow from it. That's spirituality. You know, people who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Because spirituality is there's good and there's bad. There's right and there's wrong. There's up and there's down. Most people only want to be right. They only want to be positive. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Well, I wasn't poor by most people's standards, but I came from a family with a poor attitude, if you know what I mean. Because rich, poor, middle class, poverty starts with a fundamental attitude. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, it was probably taught to you. You know, your super ego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever. The school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, which is important, or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, you know, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. So, and then when people ask me, how did your rich dad learn this when your poor dad, a PhD, didn't? And the answer is very simply, my rich dad was my best friend's father. His father died when he was 13. So his rich dad had this family business at 13 to run. So he had to drop out of school, which was his blessing. You know, there's blessings, and you know, sometimes a blessing doesn't look like a blessing, but it turned out to be a blessing. And then his teachers became his bookkeeper, his accountant, his attorney, his banker, his real estate agents. So he has what I call real teachers, not these fake teachers in school. You see, most teachers in school, they're out of ethics. They teach subjects they themselves don't practice. I asked the teacher, I said, you know, I'm in my third year of calculus now. It was called strength of materials. I said, am I ever going to use this stuff? He goes, no. You know, I said, why do you teach it? I get paid. I said, do you ever use it? He goes, no. And that's why, you know, you have to, in life, one of the things I suggest to people, you got to find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. So my accountants, my attorneys, they're in it every single day. That's how I learn, because every day I'm solving problems in my business. So I have accountants and attorneys and bankers and all these people on speed dial because I'm solving problems with my team.
I see you giving this knowledge out, and
yeah.
Do the rich people cringe and say, don't tell them that, Rob?
Yes. Don't tell people what you know. Keep them poor. But, you know, unfortunately, the poor, as was in the Bible, I'm not real religious, the poor will always be amongst us because it starts up here.
Right. It's that fear mentality.
It's in their words, you know, and the words become flesh. I'm not really religious. I flunked out of Sunday school also. But when they say I can't afford it or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. My PhD daddy says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape. You know what I mean? It's easy to say I can't afford it.
And your rich dad used to say what instead of I can't afford it?
How can I afford it? How can I do that? You know, what would it take, or why should I do that? He says a question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. Rugby is a team sport, but so is soccer. The rules are different. And other people are golfers. They play by themselves. And so everybody's different. So my game financially is business, number one. Second is real estate. So what I say to young people is, you find your game.
I do not believe that any of us have dreams that were not given to us for the purpose of accomplishing those particular dreams. And I want to share something with you that has changed my life. I started out, as was indicated by Jack, it's very humble beginnings. I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. But here's what I know, that dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. Let's say that together, please. Say, it's possible. See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that. But what we can say, that it's possible that I can have my dream. As we run toward it, as we work on it day in and day out. No one, ladies and gentlemen, could have convinced me when I started out just over 6 years ago, working on my dream. And I want you to think about whatever your dream is, because I was willing to take a chance. And most people won't do that. Most of the people that you talk to try and bring them into the business, these are not risk takers. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. And here's what I will share with you, that in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine. What you will realize is that you're greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim. As Jack indicated, I was born in Miami, Florida, in an area called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a hard linoleum floor with my twin brother. We were 6 weeks of age. We were adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. I don't have any college training. But I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student, and when he came in, he said to me, young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you. And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, it doesn't matter. Follow my directions now. I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, because I'm educable, mentally retarded. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.